Welcome to No's Kentucky Heartland Art. This is the Art by No Studios. I'm Doug No, and we're going to do something a little different this time around. Instead of working on a main piece, I'm going to do a little small tutorial for those who have never tried to paint cloth. Okay, you ever want to know how to get these folds to look like folds? So we're going to take a blank canvas, and I just put a simple coat over it just to make it not white, and we're going to add some color to it, and I'm going to show you how to make some folds using a simple technique, so that when you're painting a portrait or some clothes laying on, a piece of furniture or whatever, or even if you're painting a flag, the folds are the same type of technique. It's just a matter of the colors that you use. So let's get started with that. All right, so what we have here is just a basic flat black coated small canvas for our demonstration. And what I'm going to use is just three colors. There is a white, which is very runny, by the way. We have ultramarine blue, and we've got black. So since this is just a demonstration about how to make folds, we're going to start off with a base color, which I'm going to mix a little bit of the white with some of this ultramarine blue, so it's not so dark when we do this. And let's say we have a shoulder coming down and a sleeve, get an elbow, here. Okay, so we aren't going to be too specific with this since it's just a demo, but we got here, we got going to have a collar. It's in here. But our shoulder is what we're interested in. And this does not have any thinners in it, because general rule of thumb in oil paint is thin paint sticks to thick paint. So we don't start off with thin paint, because you can only get thinner as you go along. So we've got a torso that'll come down to here. We're not worried about that too much. I might use that for another demonstration here in just a second. But always start off with your medium color when you're doing any painting. Now, these are rough strokes, so if you want your fabric to be smooth, you simply barely touch your canvas with your brush and just drag it across it, and you can smooth that paint out. But make sure that you're following the direction of your material while you're doing it. That way whatever streaks are in it from if you didn't mix your paint all the way up, which a lot of times I don't, because you see a little white in here. It tends to make it look quite a lot better by not doing that. And then we're going to take a smaller brush. This is nothing but a cheap 5/8 inch flat, and to get folds in there, like right here where the arm pit meets the rest of the body. So we're going to need some folds in there. So if your material has folds that come up, like so, just make your swatch up. You're just trying to get your fold started. This is, not the point where you're doing all your blending. And at this point, but what you want to do is, if your light is coming from whatever source, if it's coming from right here going into your painting, which is the way I've got it set up at the moment, if you need your fold to fade out into the material, you just take a real soft bristle brush and you're going to do a little blending to bring it out and to have it blend in where it fades out. Now where the fold hits on the back side, if you need a darker area, you can take a little bit of your base color, and according to how dark you want that fold to be, you can just line in on the side of that where it comes around. And just bring it out and fade it into your material. You need to make it a little more prominent. You can rework it back out. Into your material. Take your little blender brush, and you're just barely touching the canvas when you do this. You're not putting any pressure, you're just letting it drag just a little bit across that, and just barely moving paint. As old Bob Ross used to say, 3 hairs in air. Take your dark and work it up into your next fold. Now, if this is still too much of a curve for you, you can always empty your fingers out and be more prepared than I am, and bring your rag with you, because if your blender brush gets a little bit too much paint in it, you just wipe it off on your rag, and then you just smooth that into your material. Now, if your fold is more of a crease instead of one that has a defined overlap, because if you want to define the overlap, you just bring your dark back in there and cut your edge. Like so. But if you got a spot where it just a rise and fall in your material, you can do basically the same process, but you don't have to create that fold look. Like if you got a spot that puckers up on the shirt, like so, you can simply use your blender brush and your medium and work it around the edges, and you can make it wider. You can change its direction if you need to, just like that. And if you don't want it so stark, blend it out. That way you can make it look like it's increasing or not. And let's see, make it a little darker, and you can bring some of that in off to the side. And then work those together. So you get that desired effect that you're looking for. Where it looks like it rises up and then falls down. Okay? Now, if you need to do real dark creases, like we all know that you get a lot of dark bends in these arms. And it didn't have enough definition for you, you can always go in and add more dark. Blend it into your material. Now, if you notice, some creases have where they come up and they split off into two. So if that's the type of crease that you're looking for, you can always come in here and split your fold into two. Base color back in there. Don't get old because your arms will hurt at your shoulder. Get your lighter color again and make your split. So like it came here and then split off, and you got a little spot there and a spot there, and it comes back down into here. It's just the same process all over again. Just work it until it gets to the point that you're looking for. Took a little too much out of it, bring it back. As you can tell, I'm a perfectionist. This is a demo, and I am going in getting rid of my mistakes. As you can tell, it's easy enough to make those folds in those. Another thing, you can take a darker color if you're looking for something like your binder thread that comes out, goes up over the shoulder. Put yourself a little mineral spirits on there to thin it out. Bring that down. That way you know you got your material caught in there. You usually have a piece that comes across the shoulder that meets up with that. And like I said, you got to have a collar. So get some more paint on here. Just about to stick my elbow down in that paint. But your collar will come down. It's according to what style collar you have. You can have it where it's a regular collar. We're not going to go too much into that. Get that shadow under there, but it meets up. said, don't be afraid to put your paint on the canvas, especially if this is a impromptu piece. And if it is a point that's got a shadow that's up underneath it, you can bring it out, and then you got your piece that runs down. And simply put, you can put whatever you want into this as you go. But all these folds, you can continue to ripple them, you continue to move them, you can put them in any direction that you want, and you know, make them as prominent as you want, not prominent as you want. And you go in and work in after you get all your darks and stuff in, or whatever piece of material that you're doing. You can make your shirt look like a shirt. You know, you got your creases down here. You definitely got one that comes out. And you're going to have a bunch of little spirals that come off in these areas. You just simply map them out, add your light in there, where it meets, comes out. However you want it to work. Blend them into your material. This is the basic concept for creating folds in material. But believe it or not, this is the same concept for making shift changes in most anything. Like if you looked at my large eagle that I did, you'll see the shift changes in the beak. And I mean, it's a simple concept that can go a long ways in a lot of your paintings. This is how I get things mapped out, and then But you can do this all day. Any area that you're in, you can make it same fold. Actually works in every shading aspect that you can come up with. But you can make it bold, you can make it subtle, you know, however you want to make it. That's the power of that imagination that you've got. But you can see how that works. That is a simple, very basic, how to create a fold in oil paint. Okay. So what you can do after you get your basic folds in and get to where you want, get yourself a mop brush, because it is got really nice smooth bristles, and then you just turn around and you barely touch your canvas and move it in the direction of your material or the direction you want your fold to go in, and you can do even more smoothing and blending as you go through. If your arm is round, which I think everybody's is, then you just follow the shape of the arm when you do this, and it helps blend that together to make it a lot more smooth and look a lot more like a piece of material. Okay, so see, like right in here where we got this piece, it looks like it's double molded. That's okay, because if it's coming over here and it's dipping in, then it can just be a part of another fold. If it's an unintentional fold and you put it in there, claim it. Okay, and on here, his arm, if you don't want all that white, you can get that out. And since this is a practice piece, I'll show you another little trick. Take you some, if you get your paint outside your lines, which, you know, there are no lines, but just barely get a little bit of mineral spirits on there, and come in here and erase it. You know, it may take few little times, but you don't want to use a whole lot of mineral spirits, because if you use a whole lot of mineral spirits, it's going to be on your canvas, it's going to run across all the paint that you don't want it to touch. But you can clean up just like if you were using an eraser. Make sure you get the excess paint off there when you're doing it. But you can make all that stuff look crisp and clean. And there you go. Well, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I know it was short, but the basic concept of being able to paint folds doesn't have to be complicated. It's one of those deals where it's a simple concept, but getting the technique down and practicing your blending, because that trying to develop that light touch and barely moving that paint around that canvas can be a challenge, but with a little bit of practice it becomes like second nature. And with a little more time, a little more effort than we put into this demo, you can make that material look spot on, like whatever material that you want, except for maybe like a lace. So there's a lot more that goes into a lace, okay? But that shading technique is used for all kinds of things. If you're making something like an animal that has fur that dips, you know, you can utilize that to do your base coat with. If you have a bird's beak, I've used it several times on eagles and ducks. But that same technique of making it look like it's curved is the same concept. It's just a matter of what color you use and what direction you use, and where your highlights and darks need to go. The painting is basic. You're painting light. So you always start with your medium color, then you bring your dark in and you bring your light in. Now these folds, they're not competing with each other, they're complementing each other. So you can add either one first and then blend it through that starting medium color and make it look like it's, you know, moving, flowing, just like the folds here. Okay. So I mean, it's simple, but it takes practice. And once you get it down, it'll be something that'll be with you in, you know, in your future painting that for the rest of your life. But it's just something else that might help you along the way. So I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing to No's Kentucky Heartland Art. You know, if you think about it and you know somebody else that might get something out of this video, please share it with them and leave me a comment. I mean, if you have questions about this, I'll answer them. I may not be super quick about answering them, because I mean, I've got several social medias that I go in. I try to answer everybody. But leave a comment, leave a question. I'll respond to you. And if I can help you along your way in your journey with art, or if you're wondering why I'm doing this, it's like I said, this keeps my young imagination going. You know, I'm a big kid, so I like to keep my imagination going. And it helps me as I'm moving into retirement, because it gives me something to keep my mind occupied and active and coherent and in the day. And now that I'm starting to get into more and more venues, like the art gallery over in Vivi, and my art is starting to be noticed more, I'll be painting a lot more. And with, you know, my impending retirement, which comes up just a little bit later on this year, I'll have a whole lot more time to work on these, and I'll be putting out a whole lot more art. So you'll see a whole lot more of these little tutorial videos. I just hope you come and enjoy it. It's all about having fun. It's all about having enjoyment, using that imagination, building a family. Until then, as always, God bless you. May He keep you. May He give you everything that you need. Maybe some wants along the way. Take care of each other, and especially take care of yourself, because you're the number one person. And help somebody else along the way. This is a lot about helping other people, and that is what drives life. That's what makes the world better. And my whole thing is, if I can help somebody else, that fulfills me. So help somebody else out along the way. But until next time, take care, God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.